All right. Good morning. I don't need talking to this. Okay. Good morning, Pima County. I'm Shelley Burgoyne. I'm the executive director for the Pima County Democratic Party, a county party that has been operating since territorial times. 51 years ago today, the United States Supreme Court issued the landmark Roe v. Wade decision. Roe was the law of the land for half a century. 1 in 4 women choose abortion health care, and we must commit to enshrine this human right to autonomy over our bodies into our state and national constitutions. It is critical that people have the right to choose to have a child for whatever reason they choose. The fight or not to have a child. The fight for abortion health care is in the states, and Arizona is ground zero. We must vote our ballots from the bottom up. Often our first line or last line of defense, depending how you look at it and what the situation is our local lawmakers, our mayors, our county attorneys, our city council, our county supervisors, our state lawmakers, and our governor. Leave no office blank on your ballot. We must always trust women and doctors when it comes to abortion rights. I want to honor and Gabriela Cazares-Kelly, our county recorder, is here today with us. Thank you so much for being here. And with that, it is my honor to introduce Dr. Siri Williams. Dr. Williams is a physician, an educator, and a researcher. She serves as the Director of Clinical Research at Planned Parenthood Arizona Incorporated, and teaches at the University of Arizona. Her concurrent clinical practice provides full-spectrum OB/GYN care in Tucson, Arizona. As a native Arizonan, she is committed to advancing equitable health care for her home state. She is the recipient of several awards for clinical excellence, service to underserved populations, and medical education, including the Whitehill Prize for Excellence at UCSD and the James Green Award at UCSF. Dr. Williams?
Thank you.
You can speak first and then I'll go ahead.
Thank you so much for that warm introduction and for having me here today. It's my pleasure and privilege to be speaking today. I'm Dr. Siri Williams. I'm a physician and OB/GYN by training, and I work at Planned Parenthood Arizona. I'm so proud to be here today, united under the core value that abortion is essential health care and all Arizonans deserve access to abortion. The U.S. Supreme Court's overturn of Roe and ensuing anti-abortion legislation from extremist politicians has made a chaotic, confusing, and dangerous landscape for patients and abortion providers in Arizona. This has made an extremely safe, straightforward medical procedure inaccessible for many. We know that criminalizing abortion does not decrease the need for this essential health care. If abortion is outlawed in Arizona, many would feel the immediate and devastating effects. They would be forced to travel hundreds of miles to seek care without the support of their community. They will struggle to find childcare, money for travel, time off of work. Many will be unable to access the resources in order to obtain abortion care. And so they will be forced to carry to term pregnancies and to bear children that they know that they cannot emotionally, financially, or physically support. Since the overturn of Roe v. Wade, Planned Parenthood has not and will not stop fighting for abortion access. I am proud to work at Planned Parenthood Arizona because of our continued fight over the past year and our expansion of reproductive and family planning services during this turbulent time. We have strengthened our commitment to supporting patients as manifest in our doula program, providing patients the emotional and logistical support that they need when they walk through our doors. And we've also begun a patient navigator program, which links patients seeking care with access and resources in order to obtain the care that they need. All of this has been done since the fall of Roe v. Wade because we at Planned Parenthood Arizona are committed to standing by our patients and to supporting their choices, whatever they may be. I am proud to be a full-spectrum OB/GYN. I spent the weekend on call delivering babies, and I also am proud to work at Planned Parenthood Arizona, including providing abortion care. I am proud of this work because it is my privilege to stand by my patients, to trust them to make the right decisions for themselves as they navigate their own complex lives. I think often of a patient of mine from several years ago that I saw in consultation at Planned Parenthood prior to an abortion. She was considering her decision and wasn't 100% sure what she wanted to do. We talked for quite a while. We had a heart-to-heart. I gave her information. I told her I would be thinking of her. She left the clinic, and I never knew what happened. About a year and a half later, we ran into each other at a mutual friend's house, and she recognized me, and I immediately remembered her. And she had continued her pregnancy in that case. She had decided that that was the right decision for her, and her child was there, and my children and her child are now friends. And we've become friends as well. And she's now pregnant again with a planned pregnancy and is seeing me for her prenatal care, and I hope to deliver her next baby. It is this experience of supporting people and trusting that they are going to make the right decision for them, whatever it is, that called me to OBGYN. I am proud to serve my patients when they choose to continue their pregnancies or if they need assistance conceiving. And I am also proud to stand with them and to support them if they ultimately decide to terminate a pregnancy. Standing here today, what gives me hope is that we are strong. Our community and activists around the state are working tirelessly to put abortion access on the ballot in November and to ensure that all Arizonans have the right to choose abortion if that is the right choice for them. It is critical that we show up during this time and that we make our voices heard. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here today and to share a little bit of my experience.
Yay. Thank you, Dr. Williams. Now I'd like to introduce Planned Parenthood activist and also on the board of Planned Parenthood Arizona, Flor Borrell.
Hi, good morning, buenos dias. My name is Flor. I am a first-gen Tucsonense. My family is from Hermosillo, and so I'm very happy to be here representing for the South Side. And I have been working with reproductive rights and abortion rights for a really long time. I myself have had 2 abortions, one when I was very early in my 20s. And I say that was a result of my family being very Catholic guilty and did not want to talk about reproductive rights in our house. And it wasn't until I was in my early 20s that I had to seek out help, and I actually got the help from somebody in my community that provided the medication that I needed so that I could release the pregnancy. Later on, I had a baby, and then after I had a baby, no amount of research ever prepared me enough to be a parent, for parenthood. And so when my baby was 2 years old, I found that I was pregnant again, and I had to have an abortion later on. And I was able to seek help through Planned Parenthood at that time. And it was one of the most life-changing events that I could have had. I don't think that I could be here doing the work that I do if I did not have access to these services that are here in Arizona. And I'm thinking about all of this because while I was getting ready for this press conference, I was trying to look for some notes, and I was listening to some podcasts where there were lawyers back 2 years ago talking about how Roe v. Wade could never be overturned. It's something that's coming up, but it'll never happen. And people were so sure that this could never be changed. And here we are now, 51 years later, and it was overturned. And if you look at our history of women's rights in our country, there's been 2 big events. Women got their voting rights, and then we had abortion rights. And now we only have one of those. And that's barely enough. And that was the next big thing where it was taken away. So there's big 3 events for women in this country that have impacted our lives. And it's never been about protecting anybody's freedoms or protecting children's lives. We can see by the history in our country, when you look at the history of how this country has treated women and children, when you look at the track record of this country of migrant children and migrant women, and when you look at the stance of this country right now in the world, when we look at children and mothers in Gaza. So I just want to say that it's not about the protection of anybody. It's about the control and riding this wave of colonization that these people are still writing. And so now that we have this abortion, Arizona Abortion Access Initiative that is being pushed by people who believe that the decision to make an abortion is between yourself and your provider. It shouldn't be in the hands of anybody else, anybody who thinks that it's not the right thing, anybody who thinks that you don't have the right mind to do it, anybody that thinks that you're not smart enough to do it. This decision should be made on your own. And it's also our ancestral right to be able to have these decisions. People have had abortions since people were writing their history on the walls. Everything that women have done has been in knowledge of their bodies and knowing ourselves. And it doesn't take men in any position to tell us what our rights are when we know exactly what we need and how to protect ourselves and how to make decisions for ourselves. So we have this initiative on the ballot, and I urge y'all to sign it and let's get this initiative going. We're one of the very few states that lets us make amendments to our Constitution, and we need to take advantage of that and make this happen for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Flor. I think it's so important to hear personal stories from women. 1 in 4 women, like I said before, choose abortion healthcare. Abortion is normal and it's healthcare. So thank you, Flor, for sharing that. Stephanie, Representative Stephanie Stahl-Hamilton in the Arizona House is here, so I'd like to just acknowledge her. And at this time, Mayor Romero.
Thank you. Muy buenos días. Muy buenos días. Today, one of the reasons why we decided to have this press conference is because today marks the 51st year since Roe versus Wade decision was handed down. Like Flor said, a triumph for women and girls and a triumph for the freedom of every American. For 5 decades, Roe versus Wade stood as an indispensable pillar of liberty in our country. For 5 decades, Roe v. Wade provided the right for individuals to make decisions about their own reproductive health and ability to control their economic future. For 5 decades, Roe v. Wade gave us all the ability to plan our families and our future. But thanks to Donald Trump, the MAGA Supreme Court supermajority that he appointed tore down the pillar and eliminated the constitutionality protected under the right to choose. Thanks to Donald Trump, 1 in 3 women of reproductive age are living under an abortion ban in their state. And thanks to Donald Trump, doctors are being threatened with felonies and jail time for providing care. And women are being forced to carry pregnancies at risk to their health and their lives. Don't just take it from me. He was on national television just 2 weeks ago bragging about how proud he was to be the one to terminate Roe. Make no mistake, if Donald Trump returns to the White House, he will stop at nothing to pass an abortion ban nationwide. And it's not just him. Every person running in the Republican primary has embraced the same anti-woman, anti-freedom agenda. But here's the good news, folks. With President Biden and Vice President Harris, a national abortion ban will be nothing but a twisted right-wing fantasy with no chance of becoming law. Joe and Kamala are the only candidates in this race defending reproductive freedom for all. They're working to protect access to the essential health care, including medication, abortion, emergency medical care, and contraception. Because make no mistake, this anti-freedom Supreme Court will go after contraception as well. And they're calling on Congress to codify the protections of Roe v. Wade. This is Joe and Kamala. They're calling on Congress to codify the protections of Roe v. Wade into federal law so that women And people in every state have access to the care that they need. That's the choice that will be on the ballot this November, folks. That is the choice that we have to make as American people. Freedoms versus national abortion bans. It's very clear where we need to stand in November, and very clear that it is not just the presidency that we have to make sure we vote on, but it is congressional districts. We have Kirsten Engel here, a candidate that will fight and will defend abortion freedom for all in this country versus an elected official in that same district that has voted for any anti-abortion bills coming out in Congress. We have a clear choice, folks. Clear choice. And so for me, it is very important that we watch and that we vote for every single position on the ballot this November. It is that important because I'll tell you, this MAGA Supreme Court will stop at nothing if they've eliminated the right for a person to make their choice about their own body. They will come after other freedoms. They will come after every freedom. This is just the first. So it is with that I'd like to introduce candidate for District 6, Kirsten Engel.
Thank you very much, Mayor Romero. And I'm very, very proud to be here with all these incredible advocates and speakers. Good morning. My name is Kirsten Engel. I am a former state senator and a mom, and now a candidate for Arizona's 6th congressional district, which covers much of Tucson. I served in elected office to fight for our freedoms, and I plan to do so again. I want to fight for my freedom, for your freedom, for all of our daughters' freedoms. A freedom that includes the right to make our own health care decisions. A freedom that includes abortion as health care and not as a political football by grandstanding politicians. We are here today because we are outraged. As a mother of a teenage daughter, I am outraged that she now has fewer rights than I did, fewer rights than her grandmother did. 51 years ago, Roe versus Wade guaranteed women's right to control our own bodies and determine our own futures. But almost 2 years ago now, the Supreme Court repealed this constitutional right with the Dobbs decision, an earth-shattering event that yanked from women freedoms we've had for half a century. And since then, we've seen a wave of attacks in Congress, in state houses across the country to restrict abortion access, to deprive women of reproductive health care, and to criminalize doctors providing such health care. Attacks led, encouraged, and celebrated by my anti-abortion MAGA enabler opponent, Juan Ciscomani, in Congress. Attacks that forced a Texas woman to flee her state last month to access life-saving health care after a non-viable pregnancy. Dobbs has emboldened Republican extremists in Congress like Juan Ciscomani, who have repeatedly voted to strip away our rights. In a blow to women in this district, especially women in rural areas, women of color, women from underserved communities, my congressional opponent, MAGA enabler Juan Ciscomani, has voted to ban access to medication abortions, co-sponsored legislation to chase veterans and women's service members off the healthcare marketplace, and said yes to funding anti-abortion counseling centers that peddle lies to vulnerable women and take away their freedom to access abortion health care. Here in Arizona, our Supreme Court is right now deciding the fate of women on this very issue. The court could rule that an 1864 law passed before Arizona became a state and before women even had the right to vote trumps the state's later enacted abortion laws and makes doctors into criminals when providing abortion care. This law does not even make exception for rape or incest. Just take a pause to think about that. No exception even for rape or incest. And lest anyone think that the exception in the law for saving the life of the mother is a sufficient safety valve, think again. As we recently saw in Texas, this same exception is being ignored by doctors and courts who are withholding needed treatment until the woman gets sick enough that her life is literally on the line. This must stop. We need to elect people to Congress who will guarantee our freedoms and not tear them down. Every one of us must have this freedom, to many the religious freedom, to make our own health care decisions. So we, rather than MAGA enabler politicians like Juan Ciscomani, are the ones to decide whether, when, and how to have a family. As a woman and a mom of a teenage daughter, this issue is personal to me, and I am eager to join other reproductive rights champions in Congress to guarantee abortion access to all women. And as an earlier speaker said, we had the right to vote and the right to abortion. We lost the right to an abortion, but we can use our right to vote to restore that right to an abortion.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Thank you, Kirsten Engel. Like Kirsten Engel said, Representative Ciscomani from Congressional District 6 is one of the most extreme lawmakers in our U.S. Congress. His extreme views on abortion are some of the most extreme in the Congress, and they don't represent his constituents. I'd like to also mention that the Pima County Democratic Party holds the Arizona for Abortion Access petition at their headquarters. Any registered voter can sign this petition. Any registered voter in Arizona can sign this petition. They can come by our headquarters anytime. We're open from 10 to 4. I'd also like to recognize Pima County Supervisor Adelita Grijalva from District 5. She's here today. Thank you. Are there any questions? Can I take any questions? Probably not. Is there anybody else who'd like to say any words today? Thank you so much for... Oh. Okay, Barbara. Okay,
Hi, I'm a Pima County resident. My name is Brenda Wexler. I'm 83 and a half years old, and I think I'm going to cry when I say that I remember an aunt of mine who had to carry a dead fetus until it aborted naturally. I just can't believe we're back again. Please tell everyone to sign the petition to get abortion access on the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Barbara is one of our star circulators, so thank you. Thank you.
Representative Stephanie Stahl-Hamilton, representing Legislative District 21 here in Tucson and down to Nogales. I wanted to let you know that 3 of the bills that the governor mentioned in her State of the State address, I will be the prime sponsor of, and we will be dropping this week. One is the Right to Contraception Act. We know that, as Mayor Romero said, they're going to come for that. So the Arizona Right to Contraception Act will be dropped this week, as well as the ban to repeal the ban of the 1864 territorial law of banning abortion and criminalizing doctors. And then the third bill will be to repeal all of the invasive data that is required to be collected when people go in for abortions. So all 3 of those bills will be dropped this week with Democratic support.
Buenos dias, good morning. One of the things that struck me is the fact that anytime we want some action done, we can't count on our state system and unfortunately our federal system to do that. And so this initiative, I just want to put another exclamation point on the importance of signing that petition. So far we have 250,000 signatures that have been collected. We're more than halfway there, and I think it's just really important for us, if we can't, aside from changing who is representing us, we also need to make sure that we change state law permanently. And so somebody else, some other elected official, some other body can't come around and make laws that affect our bodies. Thank you.
And then just to remind our community that we do have petition circulators out and about. You're going to find them throughout different events in the community. But you also can be a circulator. You also, if you believe in this right that we should have, you can circulate. Even if you just say, I'm going to take 1 or 2 petitions and I'm going to get all of my family that can sign petitions to sign. You all have the power to be able to help in this process. The state legislature, the Republican-controlled state legislature has made it harder for the people of Arizona to put ballot initiatives or to put initiatives on the ballot. So we're counting on you all to help us through the signature gathering process as well. This is very important for all of us to be all hands on deck. So muchísimas gracias. I know that reporters want access to some of the speakers. They will be available to you all. Thank you for coming this morning, and on to November. It's going to take a lot of us to be able to make this happen. Muchas gracias. Thank you to the Pima County Democratic Party for organizing us this morning. Thank you.